Portland International Airport serves about 13 million travelers each year. Nearly 300,000 use PDX the week surrounding Thanksgiving, and twice that many travel from mid-December through New Year's Day. So glad you're with us. I'm Ken Ackerman. You're watching Comcast Newsmakers. Well, the economy is just one factor that has caused a rise in homelessness. So what's being done to get people off the street? We ask Ed Blackburn. He's the Executive Director of Central City Concern. Thank you very much for being with us.
Well, thanks for having me.
Central City Concern, tell me what you do.
Well, we provide comprehensive solutions to homelessness. And what we mean by that is we own or operate about 1,500 units of very affordable housing for people with low to no incomes. We provide an integrated healthcare system that includes primary care, alcohol and drug addiction services, mental health services, and we also provide employment services. So we work real hard at getting people stabilized into housing, get them the kind of services they need to get well, and then we get them jobs.
There are a couple of stigmas out there, especially in Portland. Portland attracts the homeless, number one. Number two, we go downtown and we see a lot of kids out there from affluent neighborhoods or just kids who choose to leave home. It seems like an in vogue thing to do, to leave home and live on the streets. Two stigmas right there.
Well, the idea that by providing services you're attracting homelessness to Portland, I think there's some assumptions there. And one of the assumptions is no other city anywhere else is doing anything about homelessness, and that's false. On the West Coast, Seattle has added hundreds of new housing units for homeless people. San Francisco the same, they provide great services there. Even Los Angeles is really geared up to deal with their homeless issue. So every city, this discussion happens in every city, are we attracting homeless people? In the Northwest in particular, we've had over the last 30 years millions of people moving into the Northwest. And with that come people who are also vulnerable. They're vulnerable to alcohol and drug addictions. Some are vulnerable to mental health issues. Some are on the edge financially, and when things go wrong for them, they can end up homeless. So I think there are some false assumptions in that argument. And also, we have to remember why these services were put in place years and years ago, some of them. It's because there was a bad homeless problem. Anybody that's lived in Portland for more than 25 years knows what Skid Row used to look like back then. And there were hundreds of homeless people sleeping on the street and in doorways back then.
Now, if you were to profile someone who is homeless, the faces you see downtown they don't necessarily fit the profile, do they?
Well, you mentioned youth homelessness earlier. I think there are some highly visible groups of youth and some adults, and most of them are not that young, by the way, who, because of their behavior, draw a lot of attention, and they create a disproportionate perception of who a youth homeless are. And the vast majority of kids that are homeless are not that visible.
Right.
And so the perception is really based on a fairly small group of people.
You can't get on a freeway in this area without encountering someone with a sign, give money. Do you give money? Do you advocate giving money?
No, I don't. And I give part of my my compensation at Central City Concern back to Central City Concern, but I also contribute to other social service agencies, and that's what I do because I believe they're a much better position to help people that need help and do it effectively.
You say a lot of cities are doing some good things for the homeless. Is Portland one of them, and what's the future?
Portland's doing some very good things about homelessness, but again, it's not the only city. I think in the last several years, we adopted a 10-year plan to end homelessness that had some real meat to it. We saw in 2005 and 6, because of the services that were put in place, a reduction in what's called chronic homelessness, people who are on the streets for more than a year. That reduction was at least 40%. And we were making real gains in 2005 and 2006. And the kind of services that were put in place are rent subsidies for homeless people, the services like health care and mental health and drug and alcohol addiction treatment services, and all those things combined really made a dent in homelessness. And it would be a lot worse today, given what's happened to the economy, if we hadn't taken those measures.
All right, Ed Blackburn, thank you very much, Executive Director of Central City Concern. Thank you for being here on Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Ken Ackerman. Make it a great day.